Okay, very good. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I apologize for the delay. We just we met at 7 o'clock in executive session to discuss some personnel matters. So you'll be pleased to hear that we've already gone through the public statement. You don't have to hear me say that again. We've done roll call. We said Pledge of Allegiance. So we're going to go right back into the regular public session now. I do not have any additional board comments for now. I'll save anything for board business. And that brings us right up to the superintendent's report. Dr. LaSousa, if you don't mind.
I do not really have anything to report either, Ms. Weber, except that we're in full swing for staffing the district for next year. So we've all been busy interviewing candidates and trying to move them up through the process so that we can appoint them, and we know that we'll be fully staffed. So that's our focus really for the next 30 days until the school year ends.
Okay, and ideally, we're fully staffed, and I'm just looking at Beth as well, fully staffed by the end of June?
Yes.
Is that the goal, typically? Okay. Very good. Keep us posted if there's any roadblocks to that.
Nope.
Any additional questions from the board for Dr. LaSousa? Nope. Seeing none. Mr. DeQuilla, Business Administrator's report?
Yes, the only thing I have to report is just a brief construction update. At Milton, the contractor continues to make progress. The rooms have been already painted. He's begun some of the internal plumbing work. The windows are set to come in as soon as they're delivered. That hasn't holding him up, so he is forging ahead. At the middle school, it gets like a broken record. The contractor continues on the block work, which is progressing, and he's most of the windows are already framed out. So he continues to work, and the roof decking will be next. And based on some schedules with the testing, he'll do the tie-in to the new HVAC unit so they can eliminate the vent area from the former one so they can fill in the rest of the foundation, or the rest of the slab. So they're progressing nicely. The high school auditorium continues to make progress. As I said last time, HVAC units were installed April 28th. The painting is in progress, as well as the installation of the side metal panels now. Central office contractors, footings are done. The steel work is set to commence by next Monday. Once the steel goes up, they will go back and do the block work and then the roof deck. They are working on a revised timetable, which the architect wasn't happy with their first submission. So we're waiting on that. Update on the roof projects. Out of the weekend rain and the rain, I believe, last Tuesday, no further leaks have been reported. So the roof drain appears to be corrected, as well as the leak from the ongoing former HVAC units. The roofer has been informed was given a deadline of flood testing by Wednesday. If that isn't accomplished, the district has someone lined up to come do it either Thursday, Friday, or at the latest beginning of next week. But as of, knock wood, there's been no other leaks since last Tuesday.
Oh, good. And just real quick, Milton Avenue School, that's due to come online in September, correct?
Yes, as well as the middle school STEM additions.
And the middle school is, okay.
And the auditorium is set to be finished in
November?
No, I'm hoping further than that, but I'll have a better update on that next meeting.
Okay. When can we then start on the middle school auditorium? All those, because those preliminary meetings take several months.
The architect has already started working on drawings and everything else, so putting together a set of specs, so that can hopefully go to bid September.
Okay, but if you need to get specs over the summer, I don't know, you have to gather your experts on acoustics and lighting and whatever that is.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that the goal is to bid out after September, sometime a little further into the fall, similar to what we did with the auditorium at the high school, to try to catch the time of the year when contractors are least busy, to get more aggressive bidding.
Okay.
I think that they're working on the preliminary, plans involving mechanicals and the, the structural components that wouldn't involve picking the finishes and talking about certain, systems and things like that we need.
Okay, so the timeline will be similar to the high school.
It should be similar to the high school timeline.
The idea is to get a cheaper rate doing it through the school year, not in the summertime. Okay.
Yes.
And you'll pull in all your experts as you need them, those
Yes.
impacted most, and the same The same routine. Okay. Very good. Does anybody else have any questions for Peter on any of the construction? Excellent. Okay, moving along over to committee reports. Ms. Kenny, you're up first with personnel.
Personnel have not met since our last meeting.
Curriculum, Ann?
We have not met either. I believe we're meeting June 6th.
Okay. Finance and facilities. I know you met.
We just met, actually, prior to this, we just discussed some issues surrounding healthcare within the district, and then just another opportunity that's been put in front of us that we don't think has any merit, and just relatively inane, true finance meeting. Nothing fun. Nothing for me to make.
Nothing else? Any questions for Matt or anybody on the finance team? Nope. Policy and planning, Mr. Arno?
Policy and planning has not met.
Okay, very good. Will there be a meeting over the summer for policy? I think we had a few things we wanted to queue up and discuss.
I believe there's a meeting in June,
Okay,
but I don't have my calendar up right now.
okay, very good. Liaison reports, I do not have anything right now to report from the borough.
Can I report something from the borough, though?
Oh, please do.
So Chatham Borough had their spring cleanup day on May 5th. Tom was there with me, tons of volunteers. Chatham Borough had received a grant for over 1,000 trees that they planted along the Shepherd Colic Riverside walking trail. So I was there volunteering with a bunch of people from my office. It was a great day. They had tons of people, and I think got the project all finished up. So yeah, it was good.
I walk down there every day. Looks great.
Thank you.
Ms. Clark from the township?
Nothing to report from the township.
Athletic boosters, I didn't go to the last meeting.
Me neither.
Okay, good. Nothing to report. Performing arts, Mr. Arnott?
I'm going to take all your time. This is going to take about 26 minutes. Couple of really neat things. Chatham High School senior Lily McGrath has been nominated for a Paper Mill Rising Star Award for her performance of Huddle in the high school production of Fiddler on the Roof that we just saw a few weeks back. Julie Edwards received an honorable mention for her achievement in hair and makeup, and the entire production was nominated in the Theater for Everyone category, which recognizes excellence in the promotion and practice of creative inclusion of students with disabilities. So it's kind of neat. We want to see that production recognized, so we appreciate that. Tonight, cast members of the high school A Midsummer Night's Dream will attend the Montclair Foxy Awards to perform and be acknowledged for their nominations, which include production of a classical play, Charlie Thompson for Best Supporting Actor, Gillian Roche for Best Supporting Actress, and I wanted to give them a shout out as well. The Chatham Middle School 8th grade band, chorus, and orchestra will have adjudicated performances at the middle school Friday morning before leaving for Dorney Park. Wanted to talk about that. And then finally, I know you'll appreciate this, the District Art Show takes place next Monday and Tuesday, May 21st and 22nd, in the middle school upper gym. Mike, you remember what an event that was last year. Thank you.
I should have mentioned that.
It was fantastic.
It's fantastic.
The best part is you see, they start at kindergarten in one door, and you work your way over, and you see the AP, 12th graders, and the progression of art. In some cases, the senior has a few pieces from their earlier years, but you get to see current kindergartners, first graders, all the way up, and it is just amazing, the transformation in the art projects. It takes up the entire upper gym, both sides. They have it split into, primary school, secondary school, but it's really amazing. And I mean, it's just about floor to ceiling of
so
artwork.
good.
It's really amazing. If you can pop in, it's so worth your time. And just one other note, Mike, we had the Play Unified students come and speak here a few weeks ago, or a couple months ago rather, and their advisors as well. And we had said if there was more opportunity to have the ECLC students come up to Chatham, well, they've taken us to task, and they brought they had last Friday I popped in, they were having a field day, literally, it was a field day outside. So they had the ECLC students come up, and, the Chatham Play Unified group, they played all kinds of games, they looked like they had a ball, but, I mean, what a great club, and thank you for your advisors for pulling that together, so well done. I think they had another evening planned last Tuesday, and I don't know if they do anything over the summer, but from one of the student advisor who's a senior enrolling off, she said that the the rising seniors have a lot planned, and they're going to try and add additional days. So they've really taken that club and run with it. So congratulations to that whole group.
I saw them over at the high school a couple weeks ago too, and I should have, when Sal brought that Theater for Everyone award up, that award I think came about, or the nomination I think it was, because we have included our own students in productions and crew and all kinds of areas, and also we've involved some students from ECLC too in our productions. So that was what that award, that nomination for the award was based on.
It's really taken off.
Great stuff.
Really great stuff. Thank you, Sal. If anybody has any questions for Mr. Arnock, see him after the meeting. Chatham Education Foundation, Ms. Kenny?
Yes, I guess I'll follow up to say that the art show, I believe, was done through a grant through Chatham Education Foundation, so
The display boards, I think they
display
bought all
boards
those
were-
display boards.
yeah.
Organic.
But to that end, the spring appeal letter has been mailed for this year, and teacher tributes will be happening shortly.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. We'll look for that. Chatham Rec, Mr. Gilfillan?
Not at the report.
Nothing. And Ms. Ciccarelli, back to you for District Cabinet.
Mike?
District Cabinet met the week before last, I think it was. And it was the last formal meeting of the year. The next one will be kind of the year-end celebration where the officers change over for the next school year. And I actually gave the presentation I gave to the 8th graders on college and how things shake out in high school, and it was a good meeting.
That's a good one. That's a good presentation. Okay, excellent. Any questions for any committees or liaisons? No, see none. I make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 30th meeting, the public session. There was no exec session.
Second.
We had a full house, didn't we? There we go. All those in favor of passing the April 30th public meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions?
For the record, motion passes, minutes pass 8-0.
Very good, thank you. We have our first opportunity for public commentary before we get into the regular agenda. If you want to hold off on your comments, we'll have another one at the end as well. If you wouldn't mind, just, Ms. Allen, if you could just come up to the side of regular routine, if you could sign in, introduce yourself, say hello, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
After the first public commentary, we'll go into the regular agenda, and then we will circle back for our second opportunity for public commentary. Board members, we do have an executive session, so please stick around.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sally Allen from Chatham Township. I think you all know me by now. I'm here representing CEF with another check for you all. This month, we had 4 grants that we reviewed and approved. One was for Southern Boulevard School for student discovery boxes. That was a collective grant application from the 2nd grade teachers, and that was an $8,000 plus grant. And then we had 2 from Washington Avenue School for kindergarten classes around just right books for independent reading and nonfiction books for helping learn about animals, and it relates to their curriculum work around nonfiction and their annual class trip to the zoo. And then the 3rd one supports the rest and relaxation room at CHS, which we were really happy. That's our first well-being related grant, so that was really nice to see. And that's a $2,900 grant as well. So the check this time is for $13,202.83. And thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Do you, no, I don't want to put you on the spot, but the discovery boxes, do you know what, can you elaborate a little bit on what that is?
Yes, so there's 2 components. So with the next generation, correct me if I'm wrong, but with the next generation science curriculum, it integrates science and engineering. So the different discovery boxes, there's 8 different discovery boxes that will be shared among classes, and they cover subjects such as pond life and weather and tree rings, so all different types of scientific discovery that you would do. And it helps them identify and then gather, and then there's books to support the fact-finding so that they learn about the subject in the discovery boxes as well. So it allows them to analyze, collect data, and do research. And so they'll share them across all the second grade
Fantastic. Well, thank you.
classes. And it actually took a separate, Karen reviewed it we got the grant last rotation.
Okay.
And she wanted to spend a little bit more time making sure it was really a good fit with the curriculum. So we're happy to do it. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. Do you have anything you want to add, Ms. Chase?
Just that the rest of the relaxation room grant was written by Andrea Murphy and Lisa Latarula.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is there are a lot of interesting things that will be put into a classroom where students at the high school can go during lunch to. Karen, Oh,
Oh, it'll take the place in a classroom?
yes.
Okay, we're not taking that classroom offline though, right?
No,
Oh.
it's actually the health classroom,
Okay,
but it's during lunch. Students will have the opportunity to go in there and relax.
okay, great. Will that be up for September or thereabouts, or?
It's actually up and running right now. It's just these are enhancements to the actual space.
Got it.
So they have some self-help books that they ordered, some refreshments, and what they plan to do is use this as a space where they can provide some instruction into relaxation techniques, and then other students can learn. They already did something with essential oils, and the students actually were able to walk away after having these and kind of mixture to help them.
Is that available to the board members?
Yes, you are all welcome to come to the rest of the relaxation
I'm
room.
just saying, I pay a lot of money on this fine. Okay, well, that's fantastic. Thank you. So everybody take turns in there at lunchtime. Very good. No additional public comments for now? We'll do the regular agenda and then circle back at the second public commentary. So we're going to move right in, and again, if it appears that we go quickly, these are posted on Friday, so that's why we kind of move through the regular agenda fairly quickly. So without further ado, Ms. Kenny on personnel.
Yes, I'd like to move action items A1 to A24, and with please note the addendum with changes with items 1, 9, and 10, 1, 9, and 16.
Mike, are any of these resignations ones we didn't know about?
No. Yeah, I don't think I informed you of Ann Prenovo. She's in our central office. We're going to miss her. She's done a great job as transportation coordinator. And then there are a couple more late resignations on the addendum.
Okay. All right, fantastic. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. LaSousa or Ms. Grant on anything personnel related? I see none. Peter, would you mind?
I just needed a formal second.
Oh,
Second.
there you go.
You're welcome.
You need it louder than that, or you're good?
No, I can.
Just in case.
Moving
Yeah,
on.
good hearing. Agenda items A1 through 24 with updates on A1, A9, and A16. Mr. Gilpin.
Yes.
Mr. Arnold.
Yes.
Ms. Chicarelli.
Yes.
Ms. Clark.
Yes.
Ms. Kenny.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Leslie.
Yes.
And Ms. Weber.
Yes.
Agenda items passed 8-0.
Excellent, thank you. I'm moving over to curriculum.
Nope.
No.
Finance.
Oh, finance, I'm sorry.
Oh.
There was so few things on it, I blew right through it. What have you been doing,
Yes,
for
I'd
God's
like to
sake?
move action items B1 to B6 on your regular agenda, number 7 on your addendum.
Second?
Again, thank you personally for the Chatham Education Foundation and the second donation from the PTO of the Chathams for $2,000 to be used for the purchase of incidentals for the district's new American Sign Language program.
That's excellent. Any questions for Matt, or? I can't wait to see what the incidentals are, because there's not a lot of writing in sign language, at least in the initial years. No questions? Mr. DeCola, would you mind?
Still waiting for a formal second.
No, Mr. Ryan.
Second.
did.
Ryan
I'm
did.
sorry,
Second.
I was to my left here, I'm sorry. Agenda items B1 through B6 with addendum of B7. Mr. Gilfield.
Yes.
Mr. Arnick.
Yes.
Ms. Chicarelli.
Yes.
Ms. Clark.
Yes.
Ms. Kenny.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Valenti. Yes. And Ms. Weber.
Yes,
Agenda items passed 8-0.
okay, moving on to curriculum, Ms. Ciccarelli.
I'd like to move agenda items C1 to C3 for,
I'll second that.
that's it.
That's it. Well,
Yes.
since we really can't ask any questions about 1 and 2, and we
Yeah.
have decided we don't ask questions about overnight trips, we're ready to move on.
Right.
Before I do the roll call vote, I just want to note that, depending on which copy you have, this afternoon we updated C2 to strike any note so that all of the findings are being formally approved. There is no exception. So the one parent who was considering an appeal has dropped the decision to appeal. So all of the findings from the April 16th to April 27th meeting are being confirmed, I'm sorry, all of the findings that were approved on the April 16th to April 27th meeting are being approved.
Okay, very good, thank you.
So agenda items C1 to C3, Mr. Gilfield.
Yes.
Mr. Arnott.
Yes.
Ms. Ciccarelli.
Yes.
Ms. Clark.
Yes.
Ms. Kenny.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Valenti.
Yes.
And Ms. Weber.
Yes,
Agenda items passed 8-0.
policy none. Sal, unless you're going to call an audible, you're good?
Yeah, actually, have you guys discussed anything further with regard to the officers, Class 3 officers?
Oh, yes, thank you for bringing
Talk
that
to the
up.
township or the borough?
We did. Just to remind everybody, the board and some of the residents had asked the Board of Education to meet with our representatives from the town councils, both the borough and the township, and we did maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we asked about would they be able to partially fund, fully fund Class 3 officers for, one school, 6 schools. It was about an hour and a half-ish conversation. The short answer is they said no, they can't help us fund it. The longer answer is, it's a little more complicated, budgeting processes, the township and the borough had already essentially approved their budget by time we met. So, Mike, if you want to add, Mike is spearheading this up for us because of his extensive background. And let me tell you about your background. It's 30 years in law enforcement, so Mike Valenti is really spearheading this for us.
So, yeah, we did have a lot of discussion about the feasibility of having Class 3 officers in the schools. As Jill noted, the budget cycle has passed, so that is no at this point due to the budget cycle being passed, so they cannot fund that. So we're going to have continue to have internal discussion and look at all options to include Class 3 officers in addition to our current security platform. That's where we are. But there are no decisions either way.
But if we're going to fund that in part, we kind of have to start those discussions now. And Dr. Sousa, correct me if I'm wrong, a school district, just procedurally, is prohibited from hiring a Class 3 officer. Is that correct? Meaning that they have to be hired by the police department because they report to the chief or
Yes.
whatever reporting structure the chief puts in place. But
School district can reimburse the municipality, but it's a municipal employee.
it's a municipal employee, so they have to be hired, interviewed, hired, and the reporting structure is to the municipality. Okay.
And trained, right?
And trained,
Yes.
right. They do not report to the school district, they report to, I believe, the
They
police
report to
chief?
the chief of police.
Right,
Yes,
okay.
they report up through the chain of command to the chief of police. They're hired by the police department, and they're
Okay.
trained by the police department.
Yeah, the training actually, it takes place, they have to do the school resource officer training, which is offered by the county in order to serve.
So maybe the finance, Mike, you can meet with the finance committee and start seeing where we're at with that, because
Sure.
seeing, it's a funding thing. The model is, some towns, the towns pay for it entirely, some towns, the school pays for it, and some towns it's a joint, 50-50 split. Is that a
Yes.
fair assessment? Okay, so more to follow, right, Mike, on
More to
that?
follow.
Thank you.
Does that mean it's dead in terms of seeking funding from the township and the borough?
By all accounts at our last meeting, it seems dead to me, certainly for this budget cycle, unless I interpreted them wrong.
Is the door open for future?
I think the door's always open for
Yeah.
future. I mean, I would hate to say never, that they would not engage. The answer that night was no. But,
The rationale was,
yeah, budget,
the money's not there.
the money's not there. They said we had a bigger budget, but we of course have a lot more employees, but, yeah, the budget, timing and constraints, yeah, I would say the majority of the answer was budgeting.
Right.
So we'll have to work that through.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Excellent. Thank you, Sal. Any additional board business to bring up? We have graduation coming up. That's always a good time.
No, it's exciting.
Any additional questions? Okay, well, nothing additional from the board. We have our second opportunity for public commentary.
Good evening, Bill Heap, Chatham Borough. Question for you on the Class 3 officers. Do you think you're going to be taking the temperature of the community on that as to whether people want that, or is this going to be something that the school district feels that it needs?
I think that some of the dialogue in that meeting was about potentially taking the getting the community's opinion on whether we need that, but we haven't gotten that far. That's definitely an option, and we think that's a prudent option. There have been no decisions made as to, the finality of that, but we're going to continue to look at all options, have dialogue internally and with the superintendent as well as the township police chiefs and their representatives, and look at, the best security posture for the system to keep the children as safe as they can be.
So you'll keep us posted on that?
Yeah, we're gonna keep you posted as we move along, but we're not ruling out any reasonable options. We're having dialogue, and we're getting opinions, and we're having differing viewpoints as to what the best position is. So obviously, any opinion or feedback is helpful. We want to hear all opinions.
But following the lead of the experts, right, the police department, I think would be the...
Sure. I mean, at the end of the day, the police department are going to have tremendous input into this, as well as, the mayors.
Okay. Quick story to illustrate a point from last meeting, and I'll get to the punchline in a hurry. When I was in college, I woke up one morning, I was a sophomore, and my jaw was swollen out to here, and I had a great deal of throbbing pain associated with that. I was far away from home, and I didn't really know what to do, but I knew the university had a dental clinic. So I gathered myself up, I wandered over there, I walked in and sat down, and within minutes the door burst open, 4 students in lab coats followed by a professor came out and surrounded me, so I didn't have a chance to escape. They took me inside, they threw me into a chair, and I opened my mouth and I had 4 sets of eyeballs looking in, and they all came to the same conclusion. The wisdom tooth has got to go. So they drew straws. One of them hit me with a shot of Novocaine. 2 more of them held me down, and the 4th one grabbed a pair of pliers, put his foot in my chest, and started yanking. For those of you who have had a tooth pulled, there is no civilized way to do it. It's done the same way now as it was done 2,000 years ago, and it's done with brute force, and it's pretty barbaric. Here's the punchline. My mother was horrified because she never thought I'd get over it or ever be the same. My father was thrilled because it didn't cost a dime, and he told me I was not the first one to get a tooth pulled, nor would I be the last, so get over it. And I think that in the last meeting, that was the range of emotion that was called forth when Mary Chambers suggested that we might take a look at engaging graduate students as counselors. These are people who have a serious purpose. They've made a commitment. They are adults, and they deserve a chance. You learn by doing, and so I think it's something that we should take a serious look at. And that's it.
Good night, Mr. Heap. Any additional public comments? Seeing none, okay, then I make a motion to close the public session. Action will be taken, if anybody wants to stick around. So we're going to adjourn. Second, could you second?
Second.
Thank you.
I'm taking this.
Action will be taken. No, there's 2 more.